Hello beauties. I'm going to talk today about communication, and this is my next speech that I'm doing for Toastmasters. Bill quietly snuck into the house and tiptoed down the hall. He was late again. Sarah was lying in bed just waiting to let him have it. "Where were you? Why didn't you answer your phone? You always do this. You're so inconsiderate." You think Bill's just going to let her get away with that? Me either. "Oh yeah, well you're out of control. You make such a big deal about everything. I can't live like this." Have you ever known any couples like this? Have you ever been in a relationship kind of like this? This type of conflict and heartache is far too common in relationships. Now, before we jump to conclusions and decide what's going on and who's to blame, let's take a moment to see how open, clear communication can dissolve discord and create harmony. There are 6 steps to ending conflict in a relationship. And while this may sound very simple, it really requires learning a completely different way of communicating. At first, it may feel awkward and even forced, but I promise you, if you practice these 6 steps, your relationships will feel more easy, free, and connected. The first step is to observe objectively what the other person's doing without judgment. A lot of times we're so used to thinking and talking a certain way, we don't even realize our thoughts are colored by judgments. To be objective, Sarah would say, "You've gotten home after midnight 3 times this month." Instead of her usual, "It's so inconsiderate for you to be late all the time." Even the word late is a judgment. Late compared to what? Late according to whom? The next step is to take responsibility for how we are feeling. This can feel particularly uncomfortable. We are taking the spotlight off of what they're doing and we're turning it on ourselves to notice what's going on inside of us, how we are feeling. This is something we're really not used to doing. In fact, most of the time when you ask somebody how they feel, they'll give you a thought instead. Sarah would say, "I feel like he should be more considerate." Notice how that's not a feeling. A feeling is an emotion word. If she was able to be honest and maybe a little vulnerable, Sarah would say, "I feel insecure and anxious when Bill is late." Once we know how we're feeling, we get to identify why we're feeling that way. What is it that I'm needing or wanting to be different? If Sarah's feeling insecure, what she needs is the certainty of knowing that Bill will be home by a certain time, or that he'll call if he's running late. I know this sounds almost the same, but the focus has shifted from what Bill is doing to what Sarah is needing. There are some spouses who would be totally fine with Bill getting home after midnight. It's not that his actions are inherently hurtful. It's that Sarah has unmet needs, and that's what's causing her to feel this way. We have to take responsibility and ownership of what it is that we are needing. Now you're aware, you get to express it openly and clearly. I wonder how Bill would respond if Sarah said, "You've gotten home after midnight 3 times this month, and when that happens, I feel anxious because I really need to know what to expect and that you're okay." That's a very different kind of communication. And then we can actually make a request for change. If we preface it with that admission of how we're feeling, it lands more softly. People are more receptive. When we don't do that, it feels more like a demand. Make sure that your request is specific and action-based. Otherwise, how will anybody know if the request has been met? If Sarah is vague and says, "Would you be more considerate of my feelings in the future?" Her definition of considerate may be different than his. But if she's specific and says, "Would you be willing to call or text me when you get off work and let me know what time you'll be home?" They're both on the same page. So what if they don't give you the response you're hoping for? Well, that's where we get to have the chance to really step up to the plate and lead by example. If they don't respond how we're hoping, we get to listen between the lines and have empathy for what it is that they are feeling and what they are needing, even if they don't know how to express it. Bill may be feeling resentful and controlled. He just wants to unwind with his buddies every now and then. He watches the kids all day. Then he goes to a swing shift job that's really stressful. He doesn't even get off work till 11. He just needs a little bit of me time. And he's scared to call Sarah. She always blows up. If he suspects that she's making a demand instead of a request, his defenses are going to go way up. And when we feel backed into a corner, we rarely respond harmoniously. If Sarah can take a minute to see things from his point of view and to imagine what it is that he's feeling and needing, even if he doesn't know how to express it yet, then she can respond with empathy. And when we feel genuinely understood and cared for, that defensiveness and conflict just melts away. But somebody has to go first. So here goes. When I see couples who are in conflict and hurting, I feel sad because I really want people to communicate with love and empathy. Would you be willing to lead by example and practice these 6 steps to end conflict? Thank you. And namaste.